Dela's voice has been made possible by the generosity of sponsors like you. What makes live shows so special is that interaction between the viewer and the host and the guest, whether it's through the chat or the live phone calls. This connection is created because people are allowed to share their experiences, their feelings, their thoughts, and this makes for a beautiful dynamic of energy that's connecting people in so many different ways. And that's how we learn. That's the best way we can help one another, is by connecting at such deep levels. This is Dela Futui, the host of Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Hello, and welcome to another Dela's Voice Sunday live talk show. Welcome, living with the adversities in our lives and growing through these adversities. We'll be right back. Welcome back. What does it take to grow through adversity? We all have had our own share of ups and downs in our lives, some more challenging than others, and still, every single experience has given us a chance to be tested and learn. Carla Preston is no stranger to adversity. She's experienced addiction, a devastating fire, just 2 days after her wedding that took everything from her, and the loss of her stepson soon after to suicide. Carla believes that power and opportunity come of life's challenges. She talks about finding the opportunity to grow through adversity. Carla Preston has worked in the mental health field and addiction for 20 years as peer advocate. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a transformational life coach, and a certified emotional CPR. Her passion and what sparks inside her soul is inspiring others to see their divine within. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my guest, Carla Preston on Dela's Voice. Welcome on the show, Carla.
Hi, Dela. How are you?
Nice to have you here.
It's so lovely to be here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your introduction was just beautiful. Like, wow, who was that? Who was that person?
So what does it make you feel like when you hear all of that about you?
It's surreal. You know, I think it's like, it's hard to believe at times that all of that stuff happened at one time. And to get through the other side of that and then hear it back by someone saying it out loud is like, oh, that was an intense time.
Yeah. That you went you went through a lot.
Yeah. And I know that there's people watching that have been through a lot. And it's especially now, especially going through this time in history. And I think that it's like the old thing about how do you boil a frog, right? It's just like the frog will jump out if the water's already boiling, but if you just lightly, slowly heat the water, frog doesn't realize it's being boiled to
Mhm.
death. And I think that's what happens sometimes is that,
With us.
yeah, we don't realize how much, because we're in it. We're in it. We don't realize how much is coming on top and coming on top. And
So we're
yeah,
slowly
thank you for that.
building resilience, right? That's what you're saying, that we're slowly building resilience. And someone hearing about hearing this bio about you and what you've gone through would think, "Oh my god, how do you live through all of that?" And then but you're saying we become resilient because we're like that frog getting used to this. It's like we're getting used to this, and sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing because we can
Yeah,
also get used to the negativity in our lives.
that's so true. We can get calloused. I can only speak for myself, but I can, get hardened. And when you get the callus on my hand from overuse and just too much abuse, um, I have to be sure that I don't get calloused. That I take care of that. Take care of that
Ah, that's so
and
good.
get rid of it. Yeah.
That's so good. Carla, before we go a little deeper into your story, and I want me and the audience to get to know you a little bit better. But I want to make sure that we take a moment and say hello to our viewers who are with us today. Thank you for choosing to spend
Mm.
your afternoon, your hour, wherever you are in the world with us. Believe you me, there are no coincidences. You are here because you are meant to hear this message. So pay attention and please share this with other people who may benefit from this. And also drop us a line because I will always read those comments. I do. And I would like to say hi to you if you're watching. If you don't say
Mm.
anything, I won't see you. So drop a line. If you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to press that subscribe button to help us spread this message to more people. So going back to Carla Preston, my dear guest today. Carla, you worked in the mental health field and addiction for about 20 years, I would say. How
Mm.
did you become interested in that line of work? Because I'm sure there's like a story there. How did you become a peer advocate? Who does that? Like, what would make you want to do that?
It's again, we were talking before the show about divine things that are divinely guided, and somehow a source outside of me has worked in my life to create opportunities that I never thought possible. So I was working in my family's business and um, was fighting depression. And I didn't realize I was fighting depression. I was fighting severe postpartum depression. And it got to the point where I ended up having to leave um, my family's business. And I thought, where in the world am I going to work where people will understand when I sit at my desk and have an involuntary crying session? when, you know, and a dear friend of mine found a posting in a newspaper for a job. I thought it was an administration job. Part of it was. Um, and one of the requirements was that you have personal experience with mental health issues. That was one of the requirements of the job.
Hmm.
And the way it unfolded and the way it just, you know, it was an hour away from my home. And I thought, okay, well, I'll have to commute. It turned out that no, they were looking for someone in the office in my small town. That would be my office space would be there, and it just, my son at the time was starting grade 1, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to miss um, my last summer with him because the interview was in July. And it turned out, no, they were doing the interviews in July, but could I wait until the third week of September to start? Would I mind doing that? Which would give me a week to get my son into his first year of school in grade 1.
Everything worked out.
It was perfectly. So,
Uh-huh.
anyways, long story to tell you how that happened. And so that was working in the peer support, peer advocate role, and then you know managing that program for several years, and it was just such a dream job for a long time.
Mhm.
And then I ended up having to leave, but I still kept my toe in, the peer advocate roles and the um, in mental health and addictions.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
What's
yeah, it just
if
seems
you
to
could
be
go back and look at that time of your life, the many years of doing that work, and I bet you had dealings with thousands of people, I would assume, during that time. What was your biggest takeaway from that time?
um, I think my biggest takeaway is that I think everyone has a need, a desire, a want to be seen, to be heard. I think no matter what someone is struggling with, I know for me, no matter what I'm struggling with, I just want someone to see me, to hear me, not without judging, without, sometimes I don't, a lot of times I don't need, there, and believe me, there are times when someone needs, here's the medication, here's the treatment, like, there is a space for that. I'm not saying there isn't, but a lot of times s- people just need someone to hear them, to listen, to get, come in where I'm at. If I'm having a bad day, sometimes I just want to vent.
Mm.
I
Yes.
just need a I just need a sounding board,
This is an
you know.
ongoing conversation with my hubby. I just want you to listen to me. I don't want any advice. I don't want you to tell me what to do. I just need to be heard
Yes.
and seen.
Yeah.
You're so right. That is a common human desire. I think we all want to just be seen. Just see
Mhm.
me, that I matter. That I just want to know that I matter.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Hmm. So you do this work for a long time, but you also have lived experience with addiction. Is that it? Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Mhm. Do you wanna talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realize I did. I was having severe depression, anxiety, and I didn't realize until, a little over 3 years ago that I was uh, having the isms of alcoholism.
Mm,
And um, not realizing that because I didn't drink a lot of alcohol at the end of my drinking, um, that's not really the point. The point is that what it did to me when I drank. And so I was focusing on someone in my life and blaming that person for the problems in my life. And
sounds
realized that,
familiar. Sounds so
Right? I didn't realize that, lo and behold, it might be me. It never occurred to me that it could possibly be me. Um, and not that I think it was all me, that is all me all the time. I'm just saying that when I when I looked inward and started to do the inner work and stopped, I did a lot of numbing out, so much numbing out with substances and work and exercise and, diet pills, whatever, you name it. I was numbing out everything. So I wasn't just numbing out pain. You can't selectively numb. I was numbing out joy, gratitude, the good stuff too. And and I was numbing out trauma, but that in itself was creating more trauma.
Mm.
And so when I stopped um, taking the things that would, when I started to feel again and become awake and do the inner work, I realized that, whew, you know, there's stuff in there that I need to deal with, that I was
So
afraid to deal with, but I need to deal with.
I think a lot of us can relate to that. I mean, when we talk about addiction, people's minds automatically go towards alcohol and drugs. But there are so many different ways we numb out our feelings and
Mhm.
emotions, and traumas, and sometimes we don't even know what we're doing. We're looking for that feel good dopamine, right? And so whatever gets us there the fastest, that's what we'll do. So for me, for a long time was, you know, mm, partying and friends and, going out and shopping and all the things that you look at a normal, life and you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. But only that, that becomes a problem when you rely on that. You use it as a crutch to, not to deal with the real thing, the stuff. So, what kinda drama were you trying to numb? Trauma, not drama. What kind of trauma not drama.
It could have been drama, Della. It was probably drama. It was, so there was a lot of stuff that, um, it was fear of everything. I learned later on in life that I'm what you call a highly sensitive person. I was a highly sensitive child. Um, I watched a documentary about highly sensitive people and how when I was a child, um, I I acted and reacted differently than a lot of kids. People thought I was shy. I wasn't shy. Well, I was a little bit shy, but mostly um, I had to feel out my surroundings. I can see a lot of energy and feel energy, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. I feel energy around me and from other people. That was weirding me out. I didn't know that other people couldn't not everybody could sense in the world like that. Um, and I personalized a lot of that. If I walked in a room and there was a heavy conversation going on as a child and then as an adult, um, I immediately internalized that out of fear, out of people pleasing, out of all those issues from trauma that were going on in my head,
So you made
right?
that
The
about you.
stories. Totally.
Oh my gosh, I can you know what? I can relate to that so much. Yes, and you put that on you. Oh, must be me. Must be
Yeah.
something I did or I said or, mm, you know, that makes so much sense.
I thought everything was about me.
Mhm.
Everything was
Yeah,
about me.
yeah.
Yeah. and Queen of the Universe stuff. I have a friend and we joke about that. The Queen of the Universe. But honestly, in my head, even as a kid, I didn't think the sun came up until I opened my eyes in the morning,
Mhm,
right? That may be a normal childhood thing, but that carried on into adulthood,
mhm,
which probably isn't a good thing. Right? It sounds very arrogant, but when I started to do the inner work, and not that I don't feel like I'm worthy and have value and worth, but when you get caught in the dialogue of that, and the people pleasing and all those fears overtake your life, it can be so damaging. When my baby cried, I took it personally, like I'm a bad mom, you know? How else do babies communicate? I didn't realize. And I had infatuated in my mind and fantasized so vividly how it would be to be a mom. The baby would come out and angels would be singing and I'd be this glorious Snow White mom. And that didn't happen. And I came unhinged. I landed on a puddle on the floor crying. I couldn't handle it because what I blew up in my mind as a fantasy of what my life should be like. And then when it didn't become that, it was so such a letdown. And I thought I was to blame. I was had so much shame over that when he's just being a normal baby,
mhm.
you know?
It's amazing the
Yeah.
stories we tell ourselves. And, when did you start doing the inner work?
I thought I was doing inner work along this whole line of, all along. When I really started doing the inner work was when I got sober, which is a little over 3 years ago.
Wow.
Um, for me, it was getting into a 12-step program. It may be different for everybody, but for me, that was the work that really um, got me down into my soul and looking at trauma, and I also, with the help of a trauma therapist and doing some, you know, specialty trauma work outside of the 12-step program. Mhm.
So, can we spend some time here? Because, I mean, I can imagine that a lot of people are watching this and they're thinking, "Oh, only." I mean, we think about alcoholics and alcoholism, and my dad lived with alcoholism, and that's the picture I have in mind of a person living with alcoholism, and that is a disease. I totally understand that now. But he was drinking all the time. Like he opened his eyes some days, and the first thing he did was drink, take a drink. And so a lot of us, we like to have a glass or 2 or 3 of wine once in a while. And how do we determine whether we need that help? How do we determine if we are in fact living with the isms that you talked about? What are some signs, Carla?
Oh, I mean, there's professionals that could probably tell you better than I can, but for me, I'll just tell you my story.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's not what it did to me; it's what it did for me. Um,
Explain that a little bit, please.
so and it was more than just alcohol; it was other substances too. Um, also, so it was the obsessive thoughts, obsessive thinking, not necessarily about the substance itself, but when I would use the substance, it would unleash these thoughts and behaviors in me that would um, make those fears bigger, make life bigger, make the negativity bigger.
Make it more dramatic.
That's exactly right. I
So
would
you
become a nasty person. Yeah.
Mm. So did you so in essence you're saying you get addicted not to the substance but that whole dramatic scene.
That could be part of it, right? And so the alcohol, the substance, is only a symptom because I was trying to numb my feelings, my fears, my like all the nastiness, the trauma, the drama, the whatever. And yet what I was trying to numb was the very thing that fed me,
Hmm.
right? So I would create more drama
Yes.
because I wanted to numb it, because I wanted more substance, because I wanted to numb it. And it was this cycle that they talk about is just it's really difficult, and it never occurred to me once that it could be um, that substance and that's why I used the substances,
Mhm.
right? I told myself it was for another reason. And even working out, even taking diet pills, even uh, working, overworking, um, it just would unleash these obsessive thoughts, and I would go into that's all I would think about. That's all I could think about, and it would make the OCD much worse. It would make the anxiety much worse. It would just create more of that, and then I would want to numb out more, which would create more, and then I
Yes.
would numb out more.
Yes.
That's the cycle that happened for me.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. Yeah. And what kept me in that cycle was my version of what I thought an alcoholic looked like, what I thought a drug addict looked like. And I'm really ashamed to say that that was my uh, judgment and my um, fear that kept me stuck, because it takes no prisoners. You know, it can happen to anyone, anybody, in
Yes.
any walk of life. Mhm.
You're right. Um, what was your turning point, Carla? At what point did you say, "Okay, enough is enough"? Did something happen to you? Like, I got hit by a 2-4, 2 by 4, and that's my moment of awakening. What happened to you?
Couple of things. I, I think I was spinning and spinning and spinning. I was in. I was around Al-Anon, which is the family program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, I was around that program for a few years, and then I went to an open speaker meeting, which means anyone can attend, of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I heard someone speak that kind of told my story. And I went home and I did it. You can find it online. It's called the 20 Questions. To that could be a place to start as a resource for anyone who kind of wonders if their problem is alcohol or other substances. Um, and I, I was shocked. I was
Yes, yes,
shocked to
yes
find
to
out.
all the questions.
Yes, yes, I passed with flying colors.
Moment of truth.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. But when this person shared her story, um, she spoke into me, talking about that, the soul, the aching in the soul, the hole in her soul. And I'm like, that's me. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I just don't. I can't go on feeling like this anymore. And if there is hope, and it means being in these rooms, and it means doing 12 simple steps, and it means I will do whatever it takes. That was my story. Yeah.
Um, so you go through this awakening. That's, I mean, I can sort of relate to this, to all of this. For me, getting to know about the 12-step program of Al-Anon was, I feel like it readied me. It was, my initial training for what was going to happen next, and, had it not been for my training, pre-training, I wouldn't be able to go through what I went through months later. So, I feel like this is the universe helping you, getting ready to get ready to get ready, kind of. And so what's your story, about the fire and what happened? I mean, you get married, this is your wedding, and 2 days later, there's a fire and you lose everything. So,
Yeah.
what's happening there?
So, no, yeah. So just, I'll back up a bit. So just after I got sober, a couple of months after, then I lost my job, and I'm like, from a really traumatic happening, something that happened, and I I was kind of, it felt like the worst thing that could have ever happened to me at the time,
Mhm,
and then rolled around to the next year. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I'm getting married. I'm just going to focus on getting married. And 2019, we got married in May. And it was so beautiful. It was just a nice little wedding, just the closest family. And, I just got a simple dress. And my son was I called him my dude of honor. He walked me down the aisle and he gave me away. Excuse me. If you, in fact, give someone away this day and age. But he, and then he stood up as my maid of honor, but he's my dude of honor.
Toot of
Anyway, it
honor.
was just beautiful. Dude of honor. Yeah. And we had a lovely time, and then spent the next day with my new stepchildren. And I became a grandma, and it was wonderful, like, because I had inherited a grandson. And then the Sunday, we own a motorcycle, so we went out on this wonderful bike ride, and we went back to the place where we spent our first uh, little date, and had French fries, and it was lovely. And we came back, and just we were working on our house. We were just had a little fire going to burn some garbage. It was all legit. It was all fine. And it's kind of a long story, so I won't get into it. But all of a sudden, our house was engulfed in flames. And to learn how that happened, like, even the fire inspector was like, I have no idea how this happened. Like, it was just, the universe had to have planned it, because there's no way it could have happened any other way. Um, so it was literally, I was inside, my husband was outside watching the fire, and he came in and just said, you need to call 911 and get out of the house. Like, the house is engulfed at the back. And so instead of going out, I went back toward the fire, which I didn't. It was like my mind went blank or something. It was in total denial, and I went to the bedroom, going, "Okay, what do I need to take?" And thinking, "Oh, I'm just take a few things, and I'll be coming back into the house later." It was a bizarre kind of feeling. Um, So I went back into the living room, grabbed my purse, grabbed my laptop, and for some reason grabbed a couple of other things that don't make sense now, um, and got out of the house while calling 911. And all of a sudden there were neighbors at our door that I have no idea where they came from. They were helping my husband to move vehicles, so we did save our vehicles and our bike and a couple of things. But literally just got out with the clothes we were wearing, and that was it. And it was gone in 30 minutes from the time I
Oh,
called 911. And so terrifying at the time. It was so terrifying. Lost everything. And looking back, it was like thinking that that was the worst thing that could have happened until a month later, you know, when my husband's son, my now stepson, died by suicide. Sorry, if you wanted to
uh,
sit on
I'm gonna
talk about the fire for a
take a
minute.
breath. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'm sure there's people right now watching this and thinking, "Oh, man, talk about challenges." Um, wow. So you lose everything to a fire, and then you thinking, "That's the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
Yeah.
And then a month later, your loved one is taking their life, and you're thinking, "Okay, no, definitely that was not the worst thing that ever happened to me." I mean, whew. What do you so, I mean, you're in it, this fire's happening, and what are you thinking, Carla, when this fire is happening? What are you thinking? What do you make it to be? What story are you telling yourself? At this point now, you've been in training with the 12 steps for a while. What are you telling yourself?
You know, it was like at first, like I honestly, I couldn't breathe. Like our neighbor came and said, "Carla, do you want some water?" And we were standing, across the road watching our life burn to the ground. And she said, "Can I get you some water?" And it was like the air, my breath was taken away and I couldn't speak. I I was so traumatized, and it, it was so life changing. And it, it's like it's only stuff, but it's the foundation of where you land. It's your safe place. It's it's home, you know? And so it's more than just stuff. It's the meaning placed on it. For me, that was what it was. The meaning that I placed on it. And at first, I couldn't seem to move past, you know? I couldn't seem to get over the unsafe feeling I had of what's going to happen next. What devastating thing is it was almost like a hypervigilance post-traumatic stress thing for a while. And then it was like, okay, that's okay. Like fire can mean rebirth. Fire can mean a lot of different things. It took a while, I mean, obviously, but to reframe it. How can I reframe it? But I had to honor my feelings in that as well, right? I can't just jump from devastation to oh, okay, I will
Mhm.
reframe it. It's honoring the devastation. It's honoring the trauma, uh, and grief of of adversity and just sitting in that for a while, you know? As long as for me, as long as I'm not getting spiraling back down, um, that's where I have to be careful because I do have that tendency at times to go too far in that. So there's a balance, to stay in that honoring, grieving, and then when I'm ready, look for the growth opportunities.
I I mean, someone could look from the outside and say, "At least nothing happened to you, everybody's fine. These are just stuff." I mean, I can't imagine. I can only, imagine the devastation of how you must have felt, but I can't imagine myself there because I have no clue what it feels like. I think, for a lot of us would be playing those stories and what did I ever do to anyone? How why me? I don't deserve this. I'm a good person. I've, helped so many people. And did you go there?
You know, because I have the background I do with certain, mm, I don't want to offend anybody. This is just my experience of how I internalized the religious part of my upbringing. And this was my internal um, story I told myself that, oh, I should not have separated and gotten a divorce. This is my
Ah,
second marriage. So this
oh,
is what is happening to me.
this is God's
Right?
wrath.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
I
Satan's wrath, or
yes.
um, this is wrong. And I had to really work through that um, to get to a place where the universe is working for me. You know, this is things happen for me, and this can be renewal and regrowth and rebirth. And maybe there's a reason that I had to just get all the energy of everything gone.
Um,
Yeah.
I've I've talked to other people who have lost their homes to fire, and there seems to be this. Yes, this is the story, that a lot of people are saying is when you get past that, when you get past losing everything, all of a sudden you, are open to restart and regrowth and r whatever, reboot. It's
Yeah.
your chance to do it again. So that seems to be the common, um, I guess, lesson or experience that I hear from people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this fire happens and you lose everything, and just very shortly after, like a month after, if I remember correctly, your stepson takes his own life.
Mhm.
Does that put things into perspective?
Totally. Totally. It makes the fire seem like
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah. Yeah. I remember m- my husband we were living in a hotel at the time because we had no home. And my stepson was kind of not online or anywhere. And so there was a little bit of concern, through the morning. And I happened to have an appointment about an hour away. And my husband said, "It's okay. You just go. Just go. It's fine." So on my way back, a couple hours later, I thought, I'm just going to swing by his apartment. I want to say his name because I want to honor him. His name was Kevin. And so I went to swing by his apartment because I thought, I'm just going to check, you know? And I was outside of, as I drove down his street, there was a forensic van outside his building. And Della, like I told you, the first and last time I saw him was at our wedding. You know, and there was an instant connection for some reason. Obviously, I don't know. I just felt like his mom, you know, first time. And his mom, his biological mom has passed away. And something happened in me. I can't explain it. But I was running into that apartment. And I just got out of my car and I'm like, I'm going in there. And the police officer stopped me. And I said, my stepson is in there. And I'd only been a stepmom for a month, you know, but it was this mother bear, this protective, and because his biological mom, who I know I would have just loved, um, was not here. I felt like it was my role, you know, and his dad still hadn't heard the news, and I just the police officer said you can't go in there, and my thought immediately went to my husband, and it was like if he hasn't heard, um, he can't be alone when he hears this news. And so the police officer that was going to tell him was in the lobby of the hotel at this point, and they caught him and got him to come back and pick me up. I mean, I was getting in my car ready to soar down to the hotel, and they wouldn't let me drive. Um, and the police officer came back and picked me up, and we went together. And I just remember so vividly, like walking down the hallway, and with every step, I'm thinking, my husband's life is going to be changed forever. And if we don't walk through that door, it's like he won't know. He won't. It was a bizarre feeling, you know? But I needed to be there with him. It's all I could feel. Like I just needed to be there with him. And but he knew. He just knew. He's very sensitive. And he could just feel it. And I didn't know how to. I mean, it's not my job to get someone. I can't make someone get through something, but just be there, you know. And obviously, if anyone's ever lost someone, you know that absolute devastation, you know. And it was just, let's just breathe. Let's just breathe. And, you know, he just said, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how to get through it. It was just, let's just take one breath at a time. You know, what else do you do? What else do you do? And how do you bring light? Like I talk about making choices and the choice to feel better and everything, but in that moment, you can't. You can't. I don't know, you know, but I know that I watched that man, my husband, get up out of bed every morning and get dressed. He made a choice to get up, get dressed, you know, make a better feeling choice, you know? And that inspired me beyond anything. So,
Ah,
yeah, I'm not sure I could do the same. Yeah, I'm not sure I could do the same thing.
oh, we get through everything just like that, one day at a time, right? And um, wow. Well, wow, I have a lot of respect for people who do that, who despite something as devastating as that, choose to live on and not make that their entire story, but just a part of their story. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of respect in that. Let's have a look at the comments. There's a lot of comments. I've I just haven't looked because I was listening so intensely to your story that I totally forgot. I wanna thank
Oh,
every single one of our viewers who are here and have
yes.
left us, messages. Thank you so much. I'm gonna say the names that I see here, and, so ALR and Deborah, Frida, Shaddam, Deborah Swayze, um, Tammy, Vahan, Cindy Preston, Farhan Far. And, th Deborah says, "Incredible woman. Thank you so much for sharing. You're an inspiration." Um,
Oh,
Brenda Rice is here as well. Stephen Albright. Sometimes all you can do is just be there and, available. Um,
absolutely.
uh, Deborah says, "I went" um, hang on, I missed something she said. Um Adversity offers valuable insights. Definitely, right? We learn so much through the adversities of our lives. Um, Deborah says, I went there for a hot minute after my stroke, then said, why not me? Um, if he
Wow.
brings us to it, he'll bring us through it. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Sarah J's here. Awareness and seeing problems correctly help us a lot. We must not forget that all things, even hardship, will one day come to an end. What?
Yes.
Yes, this is a fantastic comment, Sarah. So you go through all of this, and it brings you to a different point of in your life. And that's where your journey, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that your journey with becoming a transformational life coach and a certified emotional CPR trainer starts, and then you write a book. Um, and so tell us a little bit about that.
So, um, I wrote a book years and years ago. Well, not years and years ago. I wrote a book when I was working at CMHA, actually, Canadian Mental Health
Mhm,
Association.
mhm.
Um, and it started, I just started journaling because I was so unwell. And I'm thinking, I got to write this down. Mostly it was for my doctor. And then I thought, oh, this may help some people. So anyway, it unfolded into this little book that I wrote. And then I did a thumbs up when you read Cindy Preston's name because I wrote a chapter in one of her and Alan Wade's books. Um, she'll have to type in the comments what the name of the book is because I don't have it with me. But
Cindy.
it's a very good book, yes. Um, and about trauma and adversity, and so many inspiring stories in that book. I got to be part of, was honored to share that with so many amazing people who wrote their stories. Um, and then um, went into, became a certified transformational life coach, which has been amazing.
Why did you
But
wanna
then,
do that, Carla? Why?
because I feel like, um, when you can transform, everybody goes through stuff. Everybody, you know? The thing is that everybody on the planet today has survived 100% of their days. 100% of what they've gone through so far, you've survived,
Yeah. Yes.
regardless of what it is.
That's true.
That's transformation,
Yes.
you know? And and what I've gone through is not the worst thing that everybody has heard. It's not. However, if I can use the ways that I have chosen to see adversity to help someone else maybe reframe something a little bit, just a tweak, and that can take them to a different, even a better feeling thought, just a next level thought. That's transformation. And that's what led me to transformational coaching. And then came emotional CPR.
Oh, I
And
wanna
that
hear all
for
about
me,
that.
oh my goodness. That is, and as soon as did the practitioner training, I'm like, no, I got to be a trainer. Like, I want to teach everybody how to do this, everyone how to do this.
So tell us what that
Um,
means. What is emotional CPR?
so, just as regular CPR is teaches you how to start someone's physical heart, emotional CPR will teach everyone how to begin to start someone's emotional heart. And so teaches anybody how to support someone through emotional trauma, crisis, distress, stress, and how to you don't have to have any kind of background. In fact, it's better if you don't, because I find we have to unlearn things that traditional, um, not that I'm saying that traditional therapy, I mean, the person who developed it is a psychiatrist. Um, but it's such a user friendly way to support someone through any kind of distress, and things like really listening to someone. We teach about it from a wholeness perspective, a whole being perspective. When you listen to me, Della, you're very good at this. You use all parts of yourself. I I love the energy of you because you listen with your whole being. You're not listening to with um, waiting so you can respond. You're listening to what I'm saying, and you're smiling, and you're with me in my story,
Yeah, I hear
and
you.
that's yeah, yeah.
So who do you help with emotional CPR?
Um, we are helping so many. Well, we're just new. So, not the program is not just new, but we as trainers, my partner Shelley Fletcher and we have just kind of launched our business in the Resonating Heart, and so we are reaching out to everybody and training as many people as we can. So we are reaching out to organizations, to agencies, to individual people, to anyone that we call it resonating heart because anyone it resonates with, you know?
Mhm, mhm. So what are you
Yeah.
hoping to get from collaboration? So you're reaching out to people to do what?
To to offer trainings,
So
to
so
offer
you
trainings.
wanna train
Yeah,
more people, basically, that's what you okay,
totally.
okay.
Yeah.
Because why, Carla? Why? What do you envision will happen with more people being trained in this? I'm really excited, by the way.
Yeah, because I really believe that if people if the world started to um, come from a point of um, I'm going to sit with you in your pain. I'm not going to try and fix you. I'm not going to try and judge you. I'm just going to be with you. Um, and understand, Della, if you're sharing with me and you have a really painful experience to share with me, that's such an honor for me. And it's not my job to say, okay, and there may be down the road, but it's not my job when you first start telling me that all of a sudden I'm going to, okay, what do I need to do to fix you? You have your own answers. There's a healer deep within you that knows what to do. You can come up with your own answers. And it's holding space with you until you go through that crisis point, until you feel safe enough and go and get through that trapped in monologue, we call it, where you're in that venting that, oh my God, what am I going to do? To, oh,
I
oh,
can do this. Yes.
wait a minute. Yeah, now, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, wait a minute. I never thought of that. Maybe it is someone needs, a crisis, bigger crisis team. Maybe someone does need to go to hospital. Maybe what you need is, I don't know, like, but it's getting out of that crisis point. And I think that especially now in the world today, as it is right now, if everyone or a lot of people got to the point where I'm just going to sit with you for a minute, you know, I, what you're saying is so, oh my goodness. If someone comes to me and says this really traumatic story, wow, if all I do is say, wow, that's really sucks. I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Then, part of that is being seen, being
Yes.
heard.
Being heard, knowing that
Yeah.
someone cares, knowing that you matter, and I think um, that's very empowering, first of all, for people, and also, this is where hope starts, right? This is no longer do I feel hopeless in my life because someone cared enough to listen to me, to what I have to say, and they don't. They're they're there because my story matters. I think that's fantastic. I mean, say no more. I feel like this. Yeah, what a world that would be if more of us could be more, a little bit more CPR emotional CPR trained. I think that would be fantastic.
Well, I mean, the C in CPR for emotional CPR is connection. For me, it's, we've been isolated. We can go back. No, wait, we're isolated again. Connection. How much do we need connection on a heart to
Mm,
heart level?
we need
You
connection.
know,
We need
so
connection.
much.
Something
Yeah.
that I've learned a while ago, someone said to me, when you hug someone, you hug them heart to heart. So I never really paid attention to this. You want to hug someone, somehow automatically right hand first, and whatever. And then when I started paying attention to that, it's like, yeah, I want my heart to be hugging your heart. And so that has made such a big impact for me. And even though through the pandemic we haven't been able to hug, and whenever I get the chance to hug anybody, I'm a heart to heart. And I always say, let's just
Absolutely.
hold this for like 20 seconds. And 20 seconds can seem a long time when you're hugging. So my son will
Yes,
say,
exactly.
Mom, let go of me. But
No.
I feel that the connection is really, really important for us as human beings, for sure, for sure. And we've all felt that because of the isolation and what's been going on. So I think coming through this, it's like any other adversity. We've been
Mhm.
tested and we've learned so much. So, um, Carla, what's the biggest thing you're taking out of this past 2 years almost? Holy moly. I can't believe I'm saying that. Next month is like 2 years, this chaos. But, what's the one lesson you've taken from all of this? You said when you have a chance to tell your great grandkids like 20 years from now, we went through this crazy pandemic. But you know
Yes.
what? This is what I learned. What is that?
What I've learned through the pandemic, through all of this that we talked about today, is it's amazing to the things that I used to miss, the things that I used to just fluff over because I was so busy being busy. And now it's like what's really, really important to me is connection that we were just talking about. Whether it's sitting on, like we're doing right now. I don't think I could have done this on this level, Della, before COVID, because I've been too busy thinking about um a a million other things while we're talking, you
Mhm,
know? And um it's funny things like we have hummingbirds, right? And just sitting and watching the divinity in a hummingbird and how beautiful they are and how we have these little chipmunks and like corny things like that, but taking time, right? Being, just being, and getting back to um, me and conscious contact with my my higher power or my source or source energy or whatever you believe. For me it's something outside of me, um, because when I get back into me I get connected, and
mhm,
it's a you know it's a loop, and all of that has come so much brighter and so much greater in the last 2 years.
mm,
And also that in so much darkness there's so much opportunity for light to shine. It doesn't take much light in a lot of dark, you know? It doesn't take a lot of light to light up even the darkest dark.
mm. When you think about someone who's going through a hard time, and I mean, it's very subjective, and we're not comparing hardship to hardship. I think for we all go through whatever hardship we need to go through. Um, and that's just the way it is. What's your message to that person? How would you say what would you say to them?
Oh, breathe, breathe. It sounds so cliche, but breathe and know that you are not alone. You're not alone. There is somebody somewhere that you can reach out to, um, and reach out if you need to. because it's what kept me in fear and anxiety, and the all of that, staying stuck in the trauma, was thinking that I was going to infect other people if I reached out. I was going to
Huh.
bring them down, or I was whatever. And there there are people that will listen, and um, it's just so important. So important. Find your support. Find your tribe. You know,
Reach out. Yes,
reach
I
out.
always say that too. Thank you so much, Carla. It's been an hour of great conversation. I just want to have a look at the comments and make sure that we didn't miss anyone.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so here it is. Awakened the magic within. I knew that. Triumph over trauma. That's the name of the book. And
Yes.
Carla has a chapter in, and a lot of amazing authors who are in that book have their share of stories, right, in the book. So, awakened the magic within, triumph over trauma. Thank you, Cindy, for putting that in. Deborah says, today I am too blessed to be depressed, too anointed to be disappointed. I always love that when she says that. It's such a great reminder of a greater perspective. Thank you for that. As a retired nurse of 40 years, I'm so very open to this training. I loved my hospice years so much. Would love to chat with you. There you go, Carla. You
Mm.
got yourself someone here who's
Mm.
interested, and me. I'm really interested too, actually. Deborah Berry says to hop in the boat with someone. No rescuing. Beautiful work this is, Carla. Healing of the heart, feeling without masking suffering, to know love at the essence of its beauty. We can connect soul to soul.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
I know. Aren't these
Oh, that's so
amazing?
beautiful. Oh, these are beautiful comments. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And Deborah says, "Oh, this is perfect. Let's start a hug-a-thumb challenge."
Oh.
Heart
I'm
to
in. I am totally in.
heart. That's funny. And she also
Oh, that's
says,
great.
"I learned to be present in my present."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Ah,
Yes.
well, I feel so blessed today. We've had amazing conversation, Carla. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It's so from the heart.
It has been such an honor and such a blessing, pleasure beyond pleasure to meet you and sit with you for it's flown by. I can't
Yes,
believe
it
it's more
has,
than an
hasn't it?
hour.
Yeah. Yes, it
And
has.
for everyone who stayed with us and commented and shared, and thank you so much.
So you can reach Carla Preston Boyer at www.resonatingheart.ca. That's where you can get information on her training program there, and also whatever else you need, you can contact her there. And if you want more information about what she does, please drop a line. I want to thank every single one of you for being here today. Know that without you, this show um, is not going to be possible. I mean, I'm not joking. It's the truth. So thank you again for every single comment, for every single participation. And until next time, another week, another Della's voice. This has been my pleasure. Della's voice, hoping to spark your soul. Have a blessed day, everybody. Thank you, Carla, again for being here.
Thank you.